Hello, can everyone hear me? Um, Welcome to the monthly community call for Hummingbot. Um, I wanted to, so we have an agenda that we're going to publish pretty soon. I think we have it on the event. This time around, we're also going to make some changes. So I'll wait for more people to join, but we're gonna we're gonna we're planning to sort of record and live stream these weekly calls on YouTube. In addition to having recording the audio. So uh, as we always do before, you can post any questions or comments in the community call chat channel. And when we talk about various things during the call, that's also when we're going to be posting links to what we talk about in the project in that channel. So, for example, I will post the link to the GitHub repository where we store the agenda as well as recordings for these calls. I just posted it there so you guys can see it. And then also, I think actually Carlito just added the agenda for this meeting, which I will post there as well. So this today, we're going to talk about a few things. First of all, we're going to talk about what happened with the Nomad hack that happened on Monday, and I'll explain kind of like why why we chose Nomad in the first place, what happened with the hack, and what we're planning to do afterwards. Afterwards, I'll also talk about the some of the key initiatives we're doing for Epoch 2, which is started on August 1st. I'll run through end of the year, and then after that, Fede will talk about the exciting Hummingbot BotCamp initiative that we're about to start. And then I'll come back and talk more about exchange certification, which is the other big initiative we have for Epoch 2. Ralph will talk about how the QA process will be different for the certified versus the non-certified exchanges. And then finally, Carlito will wrap up and talk about some of the new community resources that we have for the Hummingbot community and show how you guys can use them to increase your proficiency with Hummingbot and to run trading bots even better. So with that, let me kick things off by talking about the Nomad hack that happened on Monday. Unfortunately, this was pretty big in the industry. I think a total about 200 million of crypto was stolen. So as background, Nomad protocol was one of the newer British protocols that launched earlier this year. The reason we bridged HBOT to using Nomad is because we wanted to have a more gas efficient chain where we could distribute HBOT at small amounts to users and also allow users to get liquidity for HBOT without having to pay expensive gas fees on Ethereum. We chose Avalanche because Coin Alpha was working with Avalanche on a program to like distribute basically to have minor campaigns on Avalanche and would be distributing HBOT on the Avalanche blockchain. So we wanted to find a bridge provider that was secure and that would support Avalanche. Because Nomad uses a optimistic verification security approach, so this is the same approach used for Arbitrum, Optimism, and other Ethereum rollups. We did some analysis of all the bridge providers, and we felt that they had the most kind of like the optimistic approach toward kind of like verification of kind of any type of like cross-chain transaction was safer than the kind of the more traditional M of N validator set approach. So and also because Nomad, the team was had a lot of experience and very well known in Ethereum. They had raised a lot of money from Polygon, Polychain, and some of the other top investors in crypto. We decided to use them as the bridge provider. So I think actually HBot was the first token that Nomad bridged over to Avalanche, and we've been working closely with the Nomad team ever since then. Unfortunately, what happened on Monday was that during a routine upgrade of the Nomad protocol, they inadvertently set one of the kind of like the basically the approver addresses to 0. So unfortunately, what this meant was that anyone could essentially copy and paste prior Nomad transactions and just inject their own address in the recipient field. So instead of so that and once someone started exploiting that bug, other people realized it was very easy to siphon funds out of the account, and there was kind of this like almost like highway robbery type scenario where lots of different people, were hacking different tokens that existed in the Nomad bridge contract. And unfortunately, HBot, because we had tokens locked in the Nomad Ethereum contract to collateralize the HBot tokens we're issuing on Avalanche. The majority of the, I think, 10 to 11 million tokens that was stored in the Nomad bridge contract were basically stolen. So after that, the hackers started liquidating, both our token and all the other tokens they had stolen. So our token, I guess, it was a very small amount of the overall pie. However, the hackers are still in the process of selling down their positions in HBot. So that's why the price on the Uniswap pool where HBot trades has dropped a lot over the past few days, and we believe that the hackers still have a good chunk of the HBot remaining, and we're going to do some analysis in the next 2 days to understand how much the hackers have, how much is remaining for them that they might be able to sell, what the impact was for people who had received HBot rewards, especially on Avalanche, where now it's not worth anything anymore, and what we should, and basically consider what alternatives we have to try to rectify this situation. Just to address some concerns out there that were posted on Discord, I think I think we should, in my opinion, I think there isn't a big risk of like governance attacks and these things like that, because the total amount of tokens that were stored in the bridge was about 1% of the overall supply. And because of how delegation works, Coin Alpha and all its investors have the majority of tokens. And if any votes are kind of like maliciously created, any proposals are maliciously created, I think that the community has enough tokens to prevent those proposals from being executed. In addition, because the foundation uses an off-chain voting system, someone from the foundation actually has to take action in order to process any kind of governance actions. So it's not automated in the same way that a lot of the smart contract protocols are done. Having said that, I think that this is definitely a wake up call for those of us in the foundation, and it was a I would say one of the, like, I think we'll cover this in more detail in a post mortem that we're working on right now, and we aim to publish by end of the week. However, speaking personally, I think that this was a big lesson that like, just because the protocol something has a good security profile, the one of the biggest risks in blockchain is operational security. Can can a team take the appropriate safeguards to prevent kind of like kind of fat finger errors and things like this from happening? Because what happened here was a very simple kind of like simple bug that I think it probably pointed more to the fact that this was an immature protocol, whereas other bridge protocols, even though they were kind of using older technology, they're more mature and they've more battle tested. So And I think Vitalik from Ethereum also wrote one blog post a few, 1 or 2 years ago, just about the fact that bridges in general, bridges in general are the most insecure aspect of blockchain. So I think in the future, I think we also are going to revisit, you know, um, like, does it even make sense to bridge HBot? And if we do, I think it would make sense to limit how much is bridged. In terms of how we're planning to kind of handle, basically this process and how to, like, compensate or somehow, ensure that, kind of people still want to receive the HBOT token, given that the price has dropped. This is something that we are still analyzing. I think first we're going to conduct a postmortem on the hack, determine how much tokens the hackers still have. Right now, I think they're still in the process of liquidating their positions on on Uniswap, which is the only exchange where Hummingbot is currently uh, you where HBOT is currently active. What was interesting is that actually there's actually been quite a few purchases in the past few days, which is probably some people in this call and other community members who were able to pick up HBOT tokens at a low price. But overall, we do think the hackers are essentially looking for opportunities to sell. So, in my opinion, any purchases will likely just trigger them to sell more. So, I think that overall, we are going to try to announce something in the next few days, um, you know, uh, related to this. But right now, just please give us some time to actually analyze the situation, and understand kind of like what the impact was, and outline some steps going forward. Um, if you guys have any questions, please post them in the community call chat channel, and we'll be happy to take them either during the call or throughout it. Um, in terms of how this affects the proposed budget for Epoch 2, in a thread that I published, I think last week, I proposed that we stick with the same budget of HBOT tokens we had for Epoch 1, so 30 million as well. This is because we didn't end up using the full budget for Epoch 1. And I think, because the HBOT tokens are supposed to be for governance, I think that the key to Epoch 2, in my opinion, is ensuring that the foundation is sustainable from a revenue perspective, from the exchange fee share agreements. Once the foundation is sustainable and is able to store the excess cash flows that it earns into treasury, then the HBOT holders can then direct how that treasury is used. Whether it's paying dev grants, and other things, and then I think the HBOT token isn't as dependent upon just kind of like being given out, and having more supply hit the market. So that's why I think that a lot of the initiatives for Epoch 2 are related to kind of ensuring sustainability from a revenue standpoint for the foundation, which also benefits the community as well, because some of these exchanges that um, are giving out fees, some of these rebates also go back to users as well. So, however, in light of the Nomad hack, um, this may this may cause us to propose a higher budget for Epoch 2, because the price of the HBOT tokens is now lower, due to the additional supply in the market. There's also more tokens outstanding, so we want to make sure that the the people who have HBOT feel like they have enough to actually submit proposals, and actually vote on proposals. So I think because of that, we may actually want to increase how much budget we propose to distribute in Epoch 2 because of that. But that's something that we plan on announcing in the next few days. So in the meantime, I think there's enough budget from the leftover Epoch 1 budget to still proceed with some of the key initiatives that we have for Epoch 2. One of which is the Hummingbot BotCamp, which is a free developer bootcamp that we're starting in September in order to teach the community how to customize and create their own Hummingbot scripts. So as background, scripts are a new module that we added recently that allows anyone to create simple Python strategies in just a few lines of code. They're a lot lighter than the traditional strategies because they don't have a configuration file. However, they actually have the full power of strategies because they can use any aspect of the Hummingbot connectors. But the other reason we're starting BotCamp is because one thing we've observed is that the folks who have the most success with Hummingbot, the folks in our community who are kind of like actually profiting from their bots, who are kind of sticking with the community, have been in the past the developers, developers who are able to customize and really tweak their strategies to a point where they're not just using the off the shelf ones, but they're able to do something more with their strategies. So because of that, we feel like the key to actually growing the community, the key to actually basically ensuring that we have more and more users sticking with Hummingbot and actually making money off of running their bots is to teach them how to actually build their own trading strategies. And we think the scripts module is the best place to start because it's the simplest way to actually build an automated trading bot, and we can teach anyone. We feel like we can teach anyone, even those with a very basic level of Python experience, how to do that. So with that, let me hand it over to Fede, who will talk more about BotCamp, what areas it covers, and the schedule for BotCamp. Actually, looks like he might. Yeah, Fede, do you want to join the stage and talk about BotCamp? Fede, are you there? Actually, he may be having problems with his internet right now. So if he is, I'll kind of move on to the exchange certification process, and hopefully once he oh, actually there he is. 1 second. Let me get him on stage right now, and let's see if he can talk more about BotCamp.
Hey. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, hello, everyone. Well, thank you, Mike, for explaining the issue with the Alex protocol, the Nomad protocol. Well, regarding to the BotCamp, we're going to start the BotCamp on a beta group this Friday, just to review the content and make the best experience for you the first batch. Well, we are going to explain the BotCamp. First of all, we will have like a pre-work to put all of us in the same page regarding the crypto exchanges, how the exchange work, how the order book works, how you can set up Hummingbot in your local machine, a lot of things relating to how to make like the setup a little bit smoother than normally. After this, you will have a pre-recorded session of an introduction to Hummingbot code. In that session, you will learn how the most important components of Hummingbot were going from but not in depth, because the objective of the bootcamp objective is to how to code script strategies. For doing that, we explain like the most important components, starting with the clock, the connectors, how they pull the information, how you can access the orders, how the order tracker keeps track of all the orders, and well, After that explanation of all the major components, we make a focus on the scripts. How you can use all the methods of the scripts to do whatever you want, from getting the active orders to querying the order book. Instead of retrieving the order book, make a query to it to make it more efficient. Well, that will be like the second session. The first session that will be recorded, that you could see it the times that you want. And after that, we will have our first live session that we are going to do some Q&A regarding to the content of the pre-recorded session. And also after the Q&A, we are going to have a live coding session of dummy strategies to put some hands-on on the code. Then how I design strategies. Obviously, this template that we create is a generic template of how to design a strategy, but you can refactor the template as you want. And after explaining the template, I will show you how I filled that template with a BWAP example that we are going to do later on. And the BWAP is like a strategy that big hedge funds or people that want to move a lot of money use, just to don't move the price of the other book a lot and start buying over the time a little amount of tokens. So that will be the strategy that we are going to implement that in the live coding session 2. In the live coding session 1, sorry. And with that, we are going to finish the first session. Then we're going to have the second live session that you can share your strategies, you can ask questions to other traders. It will be a point of contact between developers, traders, people that wants to show their strategies, people that wants to ask if this makes sense or not. And well, obviously you can do some Q&A there too. Well, after that session, you will have 2 weeks to submit a script strategy based on a list of strategy ideas that we were collecting. So those strategy ideas, the thing is to do exactly what that strategy idea says. Suppose one strategy idea is portfolio rebalancing bot, and the description is you have to maintain the portfolio X with the percentage of each token. Well, you can create a new version of this portfolio, or you could stick to that version. But the main thing is that you have to say, okay, I would like to this strategy. The purpose is this, how it works, and the explanation of how it works, and then the code that extends that idea. After that, we're going to review all the submissions, and we are going to select a top 5 solutions in all the different from all the different submissions. The top 5 will receive the amounts are in the snapshot proposal, but I think that it were 50k of HBots, and the other normal submissions that are approved, because we have to review if what are you saying in the proposal, in the strategy, is really done by the script. So if that submission is approved, you're going to receive I think that was like 10k of HBots. So well, that's the information of the BotCamp. The first live session will start the 1st of September. And well, I think that's all. And if anyone has a question regarding to this, there is a link. Mike post link for Sync Up in the bootcamp. Sorry, bot. I changed the name because it's going to learn how to code bots. So, well, I don't know if anyone has a question.
So actually, so Fede, you're actually, let me pull you again. But your mic was a bit like like choppy. However, just to add on to some of the things you said, yeah. So we're starting a beta this Friday, a private beta, with a few community members, just to make sure that the content is working. We have the right process for accepting submissions, and we have reviewers, from our team and from other people in the community who will be reviewing the strategies that the scripts that people create. And the first official batch will be on September 1st. And we will likely, and I think we've already seen a lot of interest in this program. So hopefully it'll go well, and hopefully we can continue to do another batch in October, another batch in November, and then also add more modules as well to this program to basically help people advance their development and their trading experience. So yeah, Fede, do you want to add anything else to that before we move on?
No, I think that is okay. Sorry for the crispy voice, but I have some internet issues. Well, if you have any issues or any questions regarding to the BotCamp, there is we are going to create a public channel, so you can start talking in that channel too soon. So well, I hope that you'll enjoy the bootcamp, and it will be good for you to learn how to code bots.
One person asked in the chat, they signed up for the BotCamp and they asked about the beta. Unfortunately, the beta is full already. We're just doing that with about, I think, 10 community members, just to kind of verify that the whole process is working. But because the actual BotCamp is going to start in less than a month, I would advise anyone to sign up to wait for the actual BotCamp. With a caveat that I think we actually have so many signups that I would say, depending on when you signed up for the bot camp, it's possible that you won't be able to make it into the first batch even in September. I think we've had over something like 70 or 80 signups now. So I think we're going to use a beta. One of the purposes of the beta is to try to figure out how many students we can actually support, given because there is a need to review everyone's script submissions and to help them with it. So we're trying to gauge how many we can actually accommodate in a batch before kind of actually starting that first one in September. Okay, so let's move on to the second topic, I guess, or the third topic in the agenda, which is the exchange certification program. So as I alluded to before, maybe one thing I can let me post just a few links into the community call chat. So one of them is there's a discourse forum thread about this exchange certification program, and the basic idea is that the Hummingbot Foundation, the main way that we make money is by partnering with exchanges where they rebate a portion of the fees paid by users when they run Hummingbot. So this is at zero cost to users. Basically, what it means is, whenever you use Hummingbot, there's a identifier built into the code that identifies your trade as coming from Hummingbot. And this is in exchange, we have partnerships with a few major exchanges that rebate fees based on how much volume users have been generating. To be honest, in the past, this is a bit embarrassing to say, but I don't think the foundation has really focused on optimizing this revenue stream. It's mainly because in the first 6 months of the foundation's life, the focus was more on just kind of separating from our parent company, Coin Alpha, and establishing some of the processes that allows us to operate independently and not have to depend upon Coin Alpha for maintaining the code base, but instead kind of like is building what we think is much more sustainable in the long run, which is a truly community-based project. But now that I think it's clear that we need to make sure that what we're doing is sustainable. So we can't rely on a grant Coin Alpha, in the long run. So that's why the focus for Epoch 2 is ensuring that we're actually being transparent to the community about how these programs work, and getting your help in helping us pick which exchanges we should actually focus on and grow the fee share volume that it comes from. Because right now I think the fee share I think is about $30,000 or $40,000 every month. That's still not enough to pay all the. I think there's about 11 people that work full time for Hummingbot Foundation, and those people are engineers, QA, community managers, and we're all here to kind of support the community. But I think in order for us to kind of keep on doing our jobs and to have even some left over that we're storing in treasury, I think that it'll benefit everyone if we all understand, where does the money come from, and like how do we, ensure that we're delivering the best possible experience on those exchanges, and focusing our limited bandwidth on supporting those exchanges. So the thread that I posted explains kind of like what the differences are between certified and non-certified exchanges. This is actually very similar to what other open source, trading kind of like projects like CCXC are already doing. And one of the reasons that we're pursuing this is because we learned recently, because we're actually starting to work with CCXT and other open source projects. We learned that some of the other open source projects out there are earning a lot more fees than we are from their exchange fee share agreements. I believe C6C is making some on the order of like $400,000 every month from exchange fee share agreements. So I think there's a lot of room to improve for Hummingbot Foundation if we all focus on it. So the same thread has a table. Actually, I'll post a table here as a link as well. We actually created a table which summarizes all the fee share agreements and how much, what they are, and how much basically how much kind of like fees we've collected from them, what the rebate actually is, and also what the rebate to users are. Because in some exchanges like Gate and OKX, the dashboard actually allows us to select how much of the fee share we're sharing back with users. And so I think this is also a way for users to basically get a discount on their trading fees as well when they use Hummingbot as opposed to other tools. So the reason we put this information out there is because we've also created a poll that basically allows people to start voting on exchange certification. So I created that poll today. So basically, I'll put that poll in the chat as well. And this poll will run for 7 days, and it will allow anyone with HBOT to vote for which of these 8 exchanges with fee share agreements should be certified. Basically, once the vote is ended, the foundation will look at which exchanges have more than 50% approval, and those will be the exchanges that are certified for Epoch 2. This doesn't mean we're going to cut out any exchanges from the code base. Overall, Hummingbot is an open source code base, and so one of our features is anyone can submit a pull request, and if it passes governance, and passes review, that pull request gets merged in. So we will always have more and more exchanges that are being added to the code base, but because our bandwidth is limited, we can't offer the same level of support to all of them. So instead, based on the exchanges that you select and you vote for, we're going to focus our engineering, our QA, and our marketing and documentation efforts on those exchanges only. So the forum thread has a full description of all the benefits of certification, but basically includes separating them in the documentation, separating them in the client software so they're featured, and making sure that we're going to publish bug bounties for the certified exchanges and try to improve the technical quality of those exchanges. The QA team will run kind of like ongoing test bots and do a lot more QA focused on the certified exchanges, and also the community managers will only kind of like will focus their support on users on the certified exchanges as opposed to the non-certified exchanges. I think this does mean that there's a trade-off here, which is that for the non-certified exchanges, we can't offer the same level of support. However, I think that because I think it's the interest of all of us to make sure that we have a high quality code base. I think that focusing our efforts on the exchanges, we're actually kind of delivering fee share and actually delivering fee share back to users is probably one of the best things we can do for the long-term success of Hummingbot Foundation, and it ensures that in the future, once the fee share rises to a certain level, then we can actually use that in a more proactive fashion, by allowing the community to vote for how any profits should be allocated. But right now, because we're still not quite break even yet, it's hard to actually take stable coins and give that as dev grants or use that for other purposes yet. So that's why I think one of the we're trying to do for Epoch 2 is get your help in deciding which exchanges we should focus on, and improving the fee share that we receive from them. So yeah, any questions about exchange certification, please drop it in the chat channel, and we can cover it either now or at the end of the call. Okay. Let me hand it over to Ralph then. Ralph. So Ralph is going to talk more about the QA process that the foundation runs and how it's different for the certified exchanges versus the non-certified exchanges. Take it away, Ralph.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Here is this part of the call is about the QA process for certified and non-certified exchanges. For QA, testing up on the pull request submission and review, each connector, we have to make sure it should be working and performing as expected, compatible with the Hummingbot strategies and for the liquidity mining purposes as well. Also, a part of QA's task for certified exchanges is that we continue to monitor GitHub issues and add labels and priority on how it impacts our Hummingbot client. So we do have a checklist which will be shared this week, probably on a public page or on our Discourse forum. So from the checklist, we make sure everything is all green before we approve the certified connector. So one of these is like when a user is trying to set up the connector on a first level. So say for example, you're trying to connect an API, invalid or invalid. The balance are returning the correct data. So for market availability and whenever the connector is being created on different Hummingbot strategies. The checklist includes order submission and cancellation, where we have to always check whether it's trying to create and the orders are matching from the client and the connector. Part of this as well are um, the basic stuff like user scenarios when they try to set up a bot with high refresh rate and long refresh time. Another is doing multiple orders and multiple bots. For multiple bots, what we on the QA side would the approach here is we use Docker build and run different instances with the same API and same exchange. Yeah. Moving forward for the field events, the QA process is we make sure The history provides the correct number of trades. The history verbal shows the trade data of each field orders, and it should be matching from the CSV file from the Hummingbot client and the exchange trade history. Um, so ongoing connectors testing. So a part of the QA process for certified connectors is that we on the QA side have a dedicated server where we run multiple tests, and we are running different strategies and different types of config for certified connectors. On a daily basis, QA must check these test bots, make sure the log files, I review the log files, check whether there's some errors, or cross check whether between the client and the certified connector. From there, if there's something wrong, and then we conduct an investigation task where we create GitHub issues, and it usually it take days before we make sure this is a valid issue. For running test bots, like I said earlier, we have multiple test bots running per certified connector. We have to make sure there is like a test plan for every strategy. For pure market making, at the moment we are running like multiple orders with hanging orders enabled, with a value on the hanging order percentage, and monitoring if it's properly canceled or whatnot. So yeah, currently we have like seven bots running with different strategies and configs, and moving forward, we'll be planning to at least change the approach where we check the support channel whether there are some issues being reported, and then we try to come up with a test plan for it, and then set up a bot and then see how it goes. So that's how we do on the QA side. So how often do we check this test bots on certified connectors? So for QA, we like I said earlier, we do it on a daily basis. We normally check this one on our QA test server. So moving on, for non-certified, this is still being tested by the Foundation QA team. However, however, there is like a modified connector testing checklist, which will also be shared later this week. For the connector maintenance, once the non-certified exchange has pass or all green on the checklist that we created, the community, it will be approved via the pull request proposal. And then from there, the community can check this connectors, whether it's on the development branch or on the current. Um, so yeah, for non-certified connectors as well, um, we will be creating some guides as well for the community, so that they have like an overview on how we test the connectors, and how and also we are planning to create some projects or tasks for the community to at least have a better experience with checking or testing non-certified connectors. So all of this will be shared again on a public page, or this on our Hummingbot discourse forum thread. Um, yeah, and that's all.
Yeah, thanks, Ralph. Yeah. So I hope that gives everyone a summary of kind of like all the work that the QA team does, and how we're planning to kind of like really focus those efforts on the certified exchanges. As Ralph mentioned, we will still do some testing for the non-certified exchanges when someone submits a PR, but the level of testing will be much lower, and we will not run ongoing kind of test bots for the non-certified exchanges. We do have we've already drafted a Notion page that describes this process in more detail, and we'll try to get that onto the documentation in the next week or two. So last item on the agenda. Thanks for sticking with us all the way near the end. But I'm really excited to present Carlito, one of our community managers, who's going to talk about some new exciting resources that we have available for the community. Take it away, Carlito. Uh, Carlito, I think yeah, we can't hear you. Are you if you're having some issues with your mic, you can post it on the community call chat channel if you want. And yeah, if you're having some mic issues, perhaps one of us can take over. Okay, so unfortunately, I think Carlito's having some issues with his mic. So let me go and maybe kind of like summarize what I think he's going to talk about, and I'll just make sure that we at least post the resources available on Hummingbot. So what we've been doing recently is adding more GitHub repositories to the Hummingbot one as well. So Carlito has published 4 new GitHub repos that we have now in Hummingbot in the community call chat channel. So I wanted to just walk through each of these, in particular. One of them is called Streamlit Apps. So that one is basically a set of companion dashboards and data apps that Federico, our engineering lead, has added using Streamlit. So Streamlit is a pretty popular open source framework for adding basically any type of like visualization or chart or dashboard. And it's actually quite easy to create these dashboards. And so we've created a few as examples in that repository. One of them is basically just it helps analyze cross-exchange market making data across different tokens exchanges. So you can plug in a token and see kind of where the spread and volume of that token is across exchange landscape. This is really helpful if you're running either cross-exchange market making or arbitrage, because you can see, for instance, let's say the Avalanche token, what the spread is for Avalanche and Binance versus all the other exchanges where the Avalanche token might trade, and then it helps you identify which exchanges you should be using to maximize like the differential between kind of like actually between different between different exchanges, so you can capture that spread more easily. There's also an app that helps you see the all the trades that have happened in a particular Hummingbot instance. You can drop in a SQLite trade file for a specific strategy configuration, and then you can see the trade data associated with that, with how that bot's done. Recently, we also added one more. It's actually not listed in the list in Streaming Apps yet, but it is already in the repository. And that one, it's called TVL versus market cap, because there's actually a lot of kind of like DeFi protocols now, and it's actually now that we have DEX connectors and DEX focused strategies in Hummingbot, we think that this is probably one area of growth for the industry as a whole and for our user base. So we added a basically kind of just a really easy way for people to visualize how much liquidity, versus the market cap of a protocol exists on different blockchains and for different dexes. And I think this is helpful in identifying, like where are the dexes that you can trade on, and which ones have the most liquidity that you could kind of like use or you could add to, and also which ones have very little liquidity that you could kind of like maybe add to as a liquidity provider. So we actually created these more as examples, but we want to encourage people in the community to contribute other ones as well, if you like, and also create your own using some of the templates we've created. So the second repository we've created is called Awesome Hummingbot. Awesome Hummingbot is basically a link aggregator similar to I think there's one that MakerDAO has. I think there's probably a bunch that other um, blockchain projects have as well. And the idea is to just basically just aggregate all the links related to Hummingbot in one place. Links that are for kind of key documentation resources, videos, things like that, but also things that the community have created. So there's actually been quite a lot of articles written about Hummingbot, videos that we've created and people have created to talk about Hummingbot. And so we wanted to just create one GitHub repository that puts all of that in one place, so that anyone who wants to, kind of like contribute to it or see what's available can access all of that in a single location. The third one is called community tools. So recently, we've had a couple of improvements that people have submitted that we have been approved by improvement proposals. So one of them was I think we have uh, with a Discord user named James P. Magic who created a visualization tool for Hummingbot. Also, Wojak, who's on the call today, has created a tool to help you manage multiple bots and to visualize how they're operating. So those kind of community tools will be added to a new repository called Community Tools, where every folder in the repository is a different tool. So we're still, I think, establishing the process for that, trying to make sure that the initial contributions are passing review and they're working. But we see that as something that we're going to keep on growing over time. Because in the past, there's actually been a number of tools created by community members that we want to make sure are available to everyone else in the community. Finally, last but not least, I want to just also shout out the PM repo, where we'll be posting the agenda for each of these weekly calls, as well as the notes and the recordings afterwards. So the cadence will be we're going to do a call at the same time every week. Basically, this time I think it's 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. UTC time. And every month, once a month, there'll be a general community call like this one. And the other 3 to 4 weeks of the month, they will be developer focused more on kind of like working with community contributors to help them understand kind of like the technical architecture of the code base, how they can earn HBOT tokens for fixing bugs, contributing bounties, reviewing code, and doing other things that will basically focus more on the technical nature of the code base. So with that cadence, we plan on using this PM repo as a resource that we're putting all the agendas, storing the notes and recordings afterwards, and basically storing a record of how Hummingbot is going to improve in the future. This is actually modeled after how Ethereum Foundation kind of manages their core dev calls. So with these 4 repos that serve as companions to the general Hummingbot codebase repo, we hope that this is one step in the transition to becoming a fully community maintained codebase. In the past, I think in the first epoch, it was probably very unclear how the community could contribute, what the process was for voting HBOT tokens, and even kind of what the direction of Hummingbot would be. This is something that we hope to fix in starting the second epoch, and so we're trying to basically be much more transparent in how we're handling things in the community. So if anyone has questions, please post them in the community call chat now, and we'll try to answer them, I guess, in the next few minutes. Okay, well, it seems like there aren't that many questions today. However, I encourage y'all to kind of, basically reach out to us on Discord. Let us know if you have any suggestions for how we can improve this process and how we can be more community oriented and transparent. So overall, I think that obviously there's lots to handle, especially with a Nomad hack. But our first priority is making sure that we understand, kind of what happened, and try to outline proposals for how to address that situation. And then also, with respect to kind of like the governance changes, we want to help the community members out there understand how to navigate that process. So there are a few kind of next week we'll start publishing the bounties board and the review boards that should make it clear, kind of like what kind of tokens people can earn for fixing bugs, for submitting enhancements, and for also to help into reviewing the pull requests associated with all those things. So with that, thank you very much for joining the call, and we hope to see you next time.